Hi Flosstube, I'm Misty Purcell. Welcome to my channel. Today is Tuesday, the 3rd of December. I don't know how it's already December, but it is. Thanks for visiting with me, and if you're new here, welcome. If this is your first time. I have been super busy, but I'm back, and I'm here with my trusty coffee to talk to you about my stitching. So, thank you so much for your very kind reception of my newest designs, Holly Jolly and A Cardinal's Carol. I really appreciated all the nice messages I received and the support. It's just really awesome to hear from you and see your enthusiasm, and seeing people stitch my designs never gets old. It's just amazing. So thank you so much for your support. And I enjoyed reading your comments about your favorite birds and your favorite Christmas motifs to stitch, and definitely gave me ideas for future designs. I did not know gingerbread people were so popular, but I've learned that they are, and owls also were more popular than I expected. So it was very interesting to read about your preferences. So I had a giveaway on the last video, and I chose winners for the giveaway. They've already been notified and responded. So congratulations to Sheila. Sheila won Holly Jolly, and congratulations to Ellen. She won A Cardinal's Carol. So one of the reasons that I have been kind of missing in action for a while is that, I don't know if it was even just like the day after I posted my last video, a few days after I had my new designs released, I got a call that there was an opening at Nashville for an exhibitor, and I'd been on the waiting list. They had a cancellation, and they wanted to let me know that I was next if I wanted to go, and I said yes. So it's been thrilling and overwhelming and intimidating all at once. And I've really been working hard since then to prepare, changing kind of my plans around. So it was kind of ironic that I told you all these plans. I had to stitch all these prairie schoolers and things, and what I was thinking I was going to be doing. And then, pretty much the next day, found out that, I don't have time to do that. And so I'm super excited. I've got some really awesome things in the works I think you're going to like, and I'm just super excited to share them with you. I feel like it's going to be hard to wait until market to show them, but I will wait. So I'll be in room 421. If you watched Barbie Pedal Pusher, she's also going to market, and she found out maybe a couple weeks before me, so it's cool to have a friend who's going through the same experience of being a newbie at market like I am. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, and I've just been really busy, so that's why I haven't been around here too much. I've mostly been on Instagram. If I have something to share, that's where I tend to share more of my personal projects along with my business stuff, and then Facebook is more just my business stuff. And then here I share everything when I can make it. So it's kind of a gloomy day. It's wintry. It's nearing the end of the semester, so my class is almost done. My students are ready to get out. They just want to go home. We just had break last week for Thanksgiving. I had a really nice Thanksgiving, and I hope you did too. And yeah, it's just, we're nearing the end. So I have about 6 days of class left. 3 of those are exam days, and then 3 are other kinds of days like review or cultural days. So I teach, if you don't know, I'll just briefly say that I teach introductory Spanish courses at the university, and they're intensive. So if you took a high school language class, those are pretty slow, and you cover like a level in a whole year of school. And then if you go to college, typically what happens is you take a language and you do 1 level in a semester. So instead of having a whole year to do it, you have a semester to do it. And then what we're doing in the intensive version of this course, most students need to reach kind of the low intermediate level to graduate, which would be Spanish 1, 2, and 3, or another language 1, 2, and 3. They need 12 credits. And so the intensive course takes 3 separate courses, 3 semesters of Spanish, and combines them into 2. So it's an accelerated course, and we meet more often than there's other Spanish courses that aren't as intensive. So they're tired. I'm tired. It's good the semester's ending, although I really enjoy the students that I have this semester. They're one of my favorite groups that I've had, and I will miss having this particular group. I'll still have some of the same students most likely next semester because it's a continuation next semester of this class. It continues to advance, and I'll have some of the same students and I'll have new students. But there's just something about, if you've ever taught or if you ever pay attention to group dynamics, you know, you could have the same group of people and just change out 1 or 2 and it completely changes the group dynamic. And I just have a really nice group that's very dedicated but has a good attitude and a nice sense of humor. And they even laugh at my jokes, which is nice. So I will miss this group after this class ends. So, okay, let's get on to stitching. I've had a lot of finishes, and that is awesome. So I'm excited to show you some fully finished items. Let's talk about this one first. I didn't grab the chart, but you don't really need the chart since I'm showing it to you. This is Happy Christmas by Prairie Schooler. So I finished this and stitched it last year. This was something that Helen D and I did together, and many people joined us. It was called the Happy Christmas Sal. We started on November 1st. I stitched mine on 32 count midnight, which is a color that I dye. And I changed some of the colors. You have to be careful with black. It's a little tricky. It can make things like way brighter than you mean for them to be. So I had wanted to change the green. I actually tried changing the green on the sled, and it was way too bright. So I left the sled. I thought it was fine. It kind of made Santa stand out, but I went back to the green that was called for in the design because it just wasn't working. The red I changed, the kind of gingerbread color of the house I changed, and then the squirrel color I changed. This was one of the most fun Prairie Schooler designs I've ever stitched. I just enjoyed it. Oh, I also changed the color of the smoke. It's kind of a blue-gray. I don't know why I enjoyed it so much. I'm not going to question it, but I did, and I was a little sad when I finished because I enjoyed it so much. I love this frame. It's just awesome. It's got a little bit of gold on it. So I've really been enjoying this, and this goes on my hutch. So that's one thing that I finished. The other 2 things are not cross stitch. I got a little extra crafty because I am a multi-crafter. So I had come across, I think through Pinterest. So Pinterest gets me into all kinds of trouble. And sometimes I play around on Pinterest, especially at, like around the holidays, looking for display ideas and Christmas crafts and things. And so I'll talk about this first and I'll talk about the other one. But anyway, I found this shop, I think via Pinterest, called Liberty Creek Primitives on Etsy. She has lots of really cute prim designs. And I'm not super prim, but I like a little bit of prim. I actually like prim a lot, but in terms of like my own decorating, I don't tend to use it very much, but I enjoy prim. So this guy just caught my eye. I bought a couple patterns from her back in September. Isn't he cute? It's almost unbearable. Okay, so let me tell you about this. This is called Snowman Star Ornies. I'll link it below the video. I think what I did, one of the designs I bought was made with Osnaburg, which was this one if I remember correctly, and then the other one I bought was made with batting, and so I switched out. I wanted to buy a pattern that used batting and a pattern that used Osnaburg so that I could try both of them and see how they worked. So this one's batting. This is like a warm and natural white batting, which is what I use for my ornaments, my flat ornaments, as Vonna tells you to do. And if Vonna tells you to do it, you do it. So what can I tell you about this? I drew on his face, it was tricky, with a disappearing ink marker. Like I cut out the face picture pattern, the holes like for the eyes, and the nose was actually a carrot that you can buy. You can buy these like dehydrated cinnamon smelling carrots. I don't really want to do that right now. So I just embroidered the nose and kind of made it look bad the first time. Had to take some stitches out and turned out fine in the end. Hey, it's primitive. I have some flexibility here. And then I did his mouth. So I mostly followed the pattern, but I changed the nose, I changed the fabric that was used, and the, what was here? French knots, or I don't remember what. But I decided to put these little tiny rusty jingle bells from Factory Direct Crafts on there. I'd just gotten them recently. And then I sewed up the back because you cut a slit in the back, and that's actually how I embroidered him. Stuffed him, sewed that up, and then you tie a little scarf around him. So I cut a strip of felted wool from my stash, and that covers up the slit on the back, so the slit is underneath the scarf so you can't see it. And then I wasn't sure whether I wanted to put him in a dough bowl or hang him on the tree or do both, because this could also stay out in winter. So what I like to do, if I want to have the option to display something multiple ways, is I sew a jump ring on. So I sewed the jump ring on, and then I put this ornament hanger on him, super fancy. But then you can just, you know, the jump ring just flips down and now he can just stand up. So I love making this. At first, there was like a point where I was like, is this going to be a disaster? Which is like, I don't know. That happens sometimes in crafting. But then you get more of it done and it looks good. So I love how he turned out. And then the other thing that I made, so this is kind of going back to what I was saying about Pinterest. So like last year maybe, or even a year before that, I was looking around on Pinterest, and some of the things that I was coming across that were really cool were displays with a basket or a cheese box, an old cheese box, and then a snowman and some greenery and a lantern or a candle. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to find a snowman, and I've got to make this little display, this little vignette that I've seen on Pinterest. So my mom and I have been collecting cheese boxes. I've got like a couple, and I would say that to me a good price is like somewhere between $6 and $10. You can find them at antique shops, and you'll find a lot of them. Sometimes they'll price them for like $25. I think that's too much. I don't think you need to pay that much. There's enough that are not that price. So just go looking around at your antique shops. You'll find some. I guess if it were especially amazing, it might be worth paying more. But for me, like $6 to $10 is kind of what my price range was. So how I came across Liberty Creek primitives then is, I don't know if I found them on Etsy or on Pinterest, or I was looking around on Etsy. I don't quite know how I found them. But she had a pattern for a snowman in a cheese box with a candle, and I was like, I need that. So let me light my candle. Light my candle. It's a battery operated candle. This is on a 6-hour timer. Let me see if I can open it and get it going again. Okay, oops. I got this at a hardware store. One second, my hands are dirty there's like cinnamon on the candle. Okay. So the snowman the snowman star I made on Thanksgiving Day, because I was like, I am doing whatever I want on Thanksgiving because I've been working really hard. And then I usually take Saturdays off now. I work really hard during the week, and then I take Saturdays off as much as I can. And so I was like, you know what? It's Saturday after Thanksgiving, and I just want to stay home and craft my brains out all day. So that's what I pretty much did. So here is the guy in the cheese box. Isn't it awesome? Ah, I love him. So none of this is glued down or anything. I didn't want to like adhere anything to the cheese box because I might want to repurpose it later for something else. But this time I used Osnaburg for the snowman, although as I said, I believe this one was the one that called for batting. And something that I prefer to do personally, What the pattern has you do is sew all the pieces and embroider later. But my preference is always to, you know, cut out, embroider first, then sew the pieces together, because I don't like trying to sew through small openings. I don't like embroidering on after it's all sewn up, because what if I do a crappy job and then I have to throw it away? So I'd rather just throw away a piece of fabric than like a thing that I've already stuffed and everything else. So that's just the way that I think about doing it. So what I did with this one is I traced, this time I used a water-soluble marker, and like I said, I cut out the eyes from the pattern piece and the nose, and I, you know, poked a little hole for each of the French knots, and then, you know, just kind of dotted through the pattern onto the fabric. And then I embroidered it. And for both of these, for the eyes and nose, I was using 2 strands of embroidery floss. For the mouth on this one, I did the French knots with the pearl cotton. And so the head is a piece, and then the body is a separate piece, and you stuff them, and then you hot glue them together. So this was like me using all of my crafting skills, because I was embroidering, I was sewing with my sewing machine, I was hand sewing some of this closed, and then I was using tacky glue, I was using glue gun. The body has poly pellets. I put poly pellets in it just to weight it a bit more, along with the polyfill. The Osnaburg is a pretty open weave fabric, which I didn't love, but the effect is good. I mean, it turned out really cute, but it's not my favorite to embroider on. I'd be interested to try this on a muslin and see if I like it more, because I think muslin, if you get like a higher quality, I think it's a higher count weave. So I might try muslin for one of these too. But anyway, I think he turned out awesome. Again, I used a piece of felted wool to make his scarf. Now the hat I did differently. The hat was also was supposed to be Osnaburg that you painted black. And I didn't feel like doing that. I didn't feel like busting out the paint. So I took some craft felt that I have, and I just kind of traced the pattern, but I cut out 2 circles to make the brim stiffer, and then I just whip stitched around like I tend to do when I make like felt ornaments and things. Whip stitched around the brim to sew it closed. And then for the top, it had, you know, I just cut out 2 pieces of the top piece, sewed up the sides and the top, left the bottom open, and stuffed it with a stuffing fork, which by the way is a really handy tool. And then I sewed it to I just kind of went up through and sewed it, kind of whip stitching again around the base. You could probably just, well, I don't know how well the glue would work, but that's what I did. I whip stitched it around into the base. And then I got inspired because I had some of this left, and I was like, oh, I wonder if I could make that like a hat band. And so I just tacky glued this as a hat band around the top, and then I glue gunned this onto his head. So this was a very satisfying project. It did take me quite a while, mainly because I was figuring some things out. I think if I were to make it again, the whole thing might take me like 4 hours, but you know, this took me a good part of the day to figure out. And then I just took a pick that I had and I cut it apart, stuff it in the box. The candle I bought especially for this project, I knew I wanted to make it. And there's like a hardware store that's got like Prim decor, and that's where I found it. So it takes a couple AA batteries, and it's on a 6-hour timer, and then it just shuts off. And then this star was something I got at Hobby Lobby last year. So I love this. I'm thrilled with how it turned out. And she was having a sale over the weekend for 60% off her patterns. So I bought like 3 other ones that I've been wanting. And I think if you watch Jen of Jen Stitching Niche, she just showed a video of a pumpkin doll that she made, and I'm pretty sure it's the same person's design as the one who designed these things. So Jen and I must have been having a mind meld or something. But the other 2 patterns, or the other 3 patterns that I bought, were some snowmen that were maybe like this tall. They were little dolls that were supposed to be ornaments. And then I got a rabbit that was really cute. And, oh, this is no surprise, I got a snowman that you put in a felted wool mitten. So you know how I feel about knitting and mittens, so I had to have that. I don't think that those will happen this year. I just wanted them for the future. I thought, hey, if I finish 2 craft projects in a week, then that entitles me to buy more. Okay, so those were my FFOs. Feeling pretty good. Have 3 FFOs. Now, so those are also new starts. The Liberty Creek things were things I started this past week. So let's talk about FOs. Okay. You know, if you wait a month or more to make a video, you actually have stuff to show. So I've been working on the 'Tis the Season Cardinal, which I started in the Stitch Along last year. It started Labor Day weekend. I did a little bit of the bird and a little bit of this initially, and then I stopped and put it down for almost a year. And then I was in the mood to work on it, so I picked it back up. I've been working on it steadily. I really enjoyed working on it. And I finished stitching it. So if you've been following me on social media, you'll have seen this. I took it to the frame shop and was trying to choose the perfect frame. And I found 2 frames that were really good. So I posted pictures of both and asked people what they thought. And I really thought that I got a phone call. So anyway, what I was saying, I believe, is that I had the option of, like, I narrowed it down to 2 frames. One was silver with like gold, like hints of gold. And then the other frame was green with gold. And it was interesting because depending on the time of day, I sometimes had a preference for one over the other. They let me take the 2 frame pieces home to look at them in my lighting. So at night, I thought I liked the silver gold frame better. During like natural daylight in my place, I preferred the green and gold. So I posted the pictures and I was just curious to see what people would say. And I thought that I felt like the silver and gold was like the safe bet. And I thought most people would say that, but I was surprised that I think more people preferred the green and gold. So the silver and gold looked very delicate and feminine and very pretty. And it brought out, I think, more of the white of the design. And then the green and gold warmed it up and emphasized the green and gold in the leaves. And I just wanted a little bit warmer look, so I went with that. And I've just been waiting for my frame shop to get the frame in and build it for me. They're pretty behind on their orders. It should be any time. So I can't wait, and I love how this turned out. It's awesome to finally have it after all these years of wanting to stitch it, from like back when I was cross-stitching in my early 20s and wanted it and didn't get it. It's awesome, you know, whatever, 10, 15 years later, to finally have it done. So I had an update over the weekend, and I had that fabric that I recreated, which was called Jolly Green, in the update. I've just got 1 piece left in 46 count. It's a great green. I think it would work well for a lot of different Christmas patterns. So that was 40 count linen. The design is called 'Tis the Season. It's from the book Home for the Holidays. That is all. My other FOs are also new starts. I did mention I think I mentioned having a plan of possibly stitching this for my window, my display window, or for the tree. And I wanted to experiment with a few different pieces, stitch them up, and then decide. So one thing that's really cool about this chart, I'll cover up the back a little bit so I can show you, but so they're trees, right? And then there's another chart on the back of the little sledding guy. But look how they're so cute. I think these are insulators that they're standing up in. And I was like, I think I need them to stand up. I've seen other people stitch it and have them stand up that way, and I liked it. So I stitched it twice. I stitched it once, and my plan was to stitch it like right side up, and then another one next to it upside down to maximize my space. So this fabric is one I haven't released yet. I need to finish testing it. It's probably gonna be called Toasted Marshmallow. And I dyed it actually because I wanted to stitch Halloween rules on it. But I had another piece and I was like, oh, this would be so pretty on this. The white shows up really well. So this looks awesome. But then after I stitched it, like the minute I was done, I was like, ooh, but if I was gonna do it as a tree, wouldn't it look good on like a green? So another color that I dyed for the update that I hardly had time to dye much of, so I only had a little bit, was called Sea Glass, and it was a bluer and darker mottled version of Jolly Green. So I decided, that's pretty good. I decided I had to stitch him on this fabric too to see how he would look. And one thing I tried with this one is, I know Helen D has been using white Sulky Petite, the 12 weight, for her white. I just said white twice. So I wanted to try that with this one, and the stitches look really nice. I feel like the coverage isn't quite as good as 2 strands on 32 count, but the stitches look so much better. So like, you know, to me, his beard looks a little bit less white because I'm using the Sulky Petites instead of 2 strands of white, like B5200. So you can see them together. That's pretty accurate. I posted these on Instagram too, and pretty much everyone liked this one, but for an ornament, I like this, but for a tree that's standing up, I like this. So I'm probably gonna use this one for my trees, and I'm thinking of stitching like 5 of them. Not immediately. I may do 1 more this year. I may not do any more this year. It'll just be a long-term project. But I'm thinking the Santa and the angel, the 2 houses and the sledding kid on the back in a little row of 5 would be so cute. And so I was thinking about, and kind of looking around at antique shops, what could I use as bases? So insulators, if you could find some that are all about the same, that would be one option. I was also thinking of old glass doorknobs turned upside down, old spools of thread. Seems like I had another thought too of something that you could use. Oh, Tinker Toys, you know how they have those little round discs and they have holes in the top and bottom as well as around the sides. So those were just like a few ideas I had, but I would want them to be pretty uniform whatever I use. So I'll just start looking around and seeing what I can find. I did find some old Tinker Toys at an antique shop nearby, so that's one option. Okay. So that was new starts and finishes. Now let's look at whips. So it snowed, and I decided to do what Julie, Kansas City girl, is doing and work on button up every time it snows. But then I still failed at that because it snowed again yesterday and I didn't work on it. But that's okay. So button up, I started with Amy of Amy Loves Toads and Helen last Christmas Day. This was our Christmas Day start. This was reprinted last year. I've actually got a couple copies in my shop if you're looking for this. And so it snowed and I decided it was time to stitch on it. And I did some more dividing of the sections. I brought it all down here and I divided this one, and then I got some snow on there, and that was as far as I've gotten. That one is going to be the snowman that he's building. And I'm doing these in order. So it's the snowman, and I've got the kid with the dog, and then the skiing kid left on the bottom row. So I'm not feeling this one a lot, but I want to get it done. I don't know why I'm not feeling it. I'm just not super in the mood for it. I am in the mood for Christmas, maybe because this isn't technically Christmas. I don't know what my deal is. I did enjoy it when I was stitching on it on that snowy day, but I'm just not feeling super motivated for some reason. So this could turn into a long-term project. That is, I should say that both the Oh Christmas Tree and Button Up are stitched on 32 count linen. Button up is stitched on Snow Day. And then my other whip, I haven't had a lot of time to craft, just those little bits and pieces. I'm mostly getting ready for market. And I haven't made a huge amount of progress, but you'll remember that last time I was working on this, so I brought it down a little bit farther. This is the Sunny Day Supply Stocking Sew Along, not Stitch Along. That was on Instagram, and the Stitch Along, or the Sew Along, has ended, and I am just way behind, but I don't care. It gets done when it gets done. So I'm getting close to doing the foot part. I need to do a little bit more, bring it down. And of course, I'd like to have the other side not be a plain piece of fabric, but also be hexagons. So once I get this side done, I'll take all the papers out, trim it down, and start over to do the other side, I think. So I don't anticipate this being done this year, hopefully next year, but I am enjoying it. And I'd like to be able to do some smaller, here's the back in case you want to see my back. It's not too scandalous. I would like to do, there's a petite, I think it's called, version of the stocking. So I just ordered some smaller hexagons. This is, gosh, what are these? I think these are 1.5 inch. So I ordered a 1/2 inch and a 3/4 inch to try. And I ordered the template, the acrylic template for it, and I get the 3/8 inch template. I just wanted the template to be a little bit bigger to give me a little bit more to hold on to as I'm cutting out around the piece. I use a small rotary cutter. And I'm using the flat back stitch, which I mentioned in my last video. And I think that's really working well because you can't see my stitches at all on the front. And they certainly are not nice looking on the back. I'll show you if you can see them. I mean, they're nothing to write home about, but on the front, who knows? You can't tell. So that's that. Wish I had a little bit more time to work on it. Maybe I need 15 minutes a day or a hexagon a day rule, or rules aren't good, right? Plan? But plans I don't do well with plans either. I don't know what. Goal? Can't find the right word for it. I'm not following any instructions. There's just a template for the stocking and I'm following that. There are some explanations of how to do the project on the blog, but it's pretty free form. Okay. Other thoughts and plans. That's dangerous to talk about because who knows what can happen. So my other thoughts and plans, I have 2 thoughts. I have been stitching the Santa from the Oh Christmas Tree was my November Very Prairie Year Sal piece, which I'm doing with Barbie and Helen. And so December is the last month of the Very Prairie Year Sal. We've been doing it since January of this year. It's hard to believe. So I would like to do something for December. And I would like to have a winter solstice start. So here's what I'm thinking. Oh, and I should show you part of why I like this. 1 second. So, I've had this since 1984, apparently. It says it on the front of the car. It's a Hallmark ornament that I was gifted as a kid. And every year I would get it out, and I loved it, putting it on the tree. And then I also have this one from 1981. You starting to be able to guess my age? It's really cool. It's covered in, it's like a ball that's covered in thread, and then the balloon plastic piece over the top, and then Santa with stockings. So anyway, I've had these like my whole life, pretty much, and I love them. So one day I was at a cross stitch shop and I came across this oldie but goodie, and I had to have it because hey, and hay. And then my mom has a train Santa. So I just needed this, and so I bought it, and you can see that I paid the hefty $5 price for this awesome leaflet. And I've had the intention to stitch this for, I'm sure, more than a decade at this point. When did this come out? 94. I would say that this was 2008, 9 when I bought this, maybe. So this just got reprinted, by the way. So if you need this, you can get it. I just had some, but I sold out. But I really want to stitch something from this, and I'm thinking maybe on the blue-green fabric and possibly over one. So that is what I'm thinking. I'm not making any promises, but that's what I'm thinking. So for the Very Prairie Year Sale December, which one? They're all tempting. I need a kind of quick finish, I think, because of how my life is right now. So I'd probably do that one. Although any of these would also be awesome. Okay, there's that. And then also for the winter solstice, I'm thinking Brenda Gervais. Most likely this guy. This is Jolly Happy Soul. But also the possibility of snowbirds. I'm thinking snow for the winter solstice. Or, now this one's really more Christmassy, but Candy Cane Wishes. Maybe not so likely, but a possibility. I think most likely it's going to be this guy. I think I've got them all kitted up in terms of floss. And I would probably use Macchiato or the new Toasted Marshmallow. Or I'm getting in some Picture This Plus fabric, and I have gingerbread coming. Or, oh, this would be cool too. Okay, so I'm getting all out of order here. I just got in Weeks Dye Works Straw on Zweigart. I've got it in 40 and 36. Could be also awesome on this. So since I'm busy with designing, I'm trying to get in some more fabrics from other people so that if you need fabric for a project, you can still stitch and not be waiting on me. I'll still be adding my fabric in from time to time. Right now I'm focusing on designing, getting my models stitched up, and I'm starting to dye fabric for the new designs I'll be releasing at market. So what you'll see from me in the shop updates will slow down, but I'll still have updates. And I'll be putting in, I've got some solos I want to list, things like that. So there will be things going into the shop. They won't all go out with newsletters. Sometimes I'll just be putting them into the shop. So on Etsy, there's like a little notification bell, and you can see like all the shops you follow that have new things in their shop. So that's one way that you could see if I have something new. So anyway, back on track. Probably this one for the winter solstice, I'm thinking. All right, let me just say that I really wanted to have the roll of frame to show you. I've been using the roll of frames that I got for stitching my designs recently. And I wanted to have like a roll of frame all set up to show you, but it's got a project on it, so I can't. Like one of my designs. But I'll just say that my thoughts are, I really like how lightweight they are. They're very easy to lift and hold. They're very light. I think they're really, really easy and fast to load because they've got on the scroll rod a series of nails, and you're putting the fabric on the nails. Very, very fast and very easy. The projects, once you roll them up, they're easy to tighten. And Vanna had suggested certain plastic knobs that go on the back to tighten the sidebars. Those were great. Those are on Amazon, and I got them, and I really like them. Overall, I am very happy. Very, very happy with the roll of frames. I love them. Couple of things that I've noticed about them. The holes, or the nails, are spaced about 1 inch apart. So in between here and here, where there's no nail, the fabric sags. So you've got kind of this going on. So if it were possible to put the nails like a nail in between every nail that they currently have, so like 1 every 1/2 inch, that would be way better in my opinion. But maybe there's a reason that they don't do that. But that's just an observation. You know, you've got a bit of sagging between each nail. One thing that's nice about the Artisan Design scroll rods that I was using before that is that you've got you can't really see it that well, but you've got a dowel that goes all the way across here. So the tension is even. The tricky thing is that it can slide because it's just a dowel holding it in place. So it's tricky to get it even, in my opinion, for me. So there's no perfect solution. It's just me explaining the difference. I like also that the length of the scroll rod is the length that's usable. So if they tell you that it's a 16-inch scroll rod, that's the usable space for your fabric. That makes it just easy. Another observation about the roll of frame, if you don't have, like, you can, because there are nails holding your fabric in place, you don't actually have to put that much fabric on to have it like locked in. But if you don't put much fabric on, let's say that you just have enough fabric to go from the top end of the scroll rod to the bottom end of the other scroll rod without fabric sticking out here or being rolled on. What happens is the scroll rods have sidebars on the side, right? And then the clamps are clamping in the scroll rods here and here. Those sidebars are. So here and here and here and here, everything is tight. But across the middle, where there's now no fabric, you know, wrapped around your scroll rod and there's nothing clamping it, you'll get a little gap and there's a bit of looseness in the fabric there. Now that is obviously something that I did because I didn't realize that would happen. And it's just happening on a project I'm doing now. So it's an observation that you would probably not want to do that. You would want to either use a bigger piece or sew some extra fabric on so that you can actually roll the fabric onto the scroll rod, closing that gap up. I think you can get the fabric very tight. I like it. The sidebars have little screws in them, and there's 2 different spots on the sidebars that you can put your, I think it's really cute because it's sort of like Lincoln Logs, if you ever played with Lincoln Logs, the way that the scroll rods are cut and fit into the sidebars. It's like building a Lincoln Log house. So there's 2 grooves that you can use. There's a close one and then a farther away one. So basically it's like almost having 2 different sets of sidebars because you've got 2 different spacings you can use. And then you have these screws that clamp the sidebars down. What I have noticed is that you need to screw those things in really tightly because otherwise you'll get some slippage, because if you're using the wider apart scroll rod spacing, the screws happen, it's hard to explain this. It's like, okay, maybe I just can't explain without showing you what I'm talking about. Basically, though, there's a little bit of slippage that can happen because there's nothing clamping on the other side of the scroll rod. It's just like here, not here, not down below. If you're using the widest spacing. It's just an observation that I noticed. But if you make it pretty tight, then I don't think I've noticed that happening since I started tightening it more. That was probably really confusing. I'm sorry. I'll be better prepared next time to explain what I mean. Okay, so that was all I had to say about that. I really, really, really like the roller frames a lot. A lot. What else? Let's talk about my shop briefly. So I send out emails when I have fabric in the shop, or if I get a bunch of new patterns in, I'll send out an email. So if you'd like to be on my mailing list, I always have the link below in the video, below the video. Or if you want to, you can just send me your email and have me sign you up, and I will do that. I just need like your email and your first and last name, and then I'll add you to the mailing list. I send out an email typically about once a month. So the next email going out should be with the picture of this plus fabric that's coming in. I am getting in, as I said, some other fabrics as well. So I'll have the Picture This Plus, and I'll have some Aida and Lugana in addition to the linen this time. I just had a little bit of Aida. I have more coming. Last time I just didn't have as much. I was just kind of testing it out, but people really were excited about the Picture This Plus fabric, and it was great. So I'm glad that it went well, and so I'm getting more. I have some R&R fabric in the shop right now, and the Weeks, as I mentioned, straw, Zweigart, really nice. What else do I have? Having a small sale on select items, so they're 25% off, so please check that out. Maybe you'll find something you've been waiting for. I started to dye rayon ribbon recently, and so I have a few packs of my hand-dyed rayon ribbon. This is Sea Glass, which is, like I said, a little bit darker than Jolly Green. And this is the kind of thing that you would use around like a pillow to do ruching if you wanted to. So it's kind of a faded green color with bits of gold on it. That's pretty true, actually. So I've been doing that, and I got some new Christmas charts in that I wanted to show you. This was recently released from Erica Michaels, and I just thought it was so sweet. I believe she said that this was inspired by a vintage Christmas postcard, or maybe a vintage card. How cute is that? Got some Brenda Gervais, and I've got more Brenda Gervais patterns coming, so look for that soon. And then I got a lot of Prairie Schooler because I love Prairie Schooler, and nobody does Christmas like Prairie Schooler. So Woodland Santas is a reprint. This one just came back into print, so it's a reprint now. Home for Christmas. This one was out of print. One thing I wanted to mention, and I don't want to freak you out, but I was going to get in some copies of January because I'm going to be fully finishing that soon. I thought, oh, well, people might want to get some. I don't see it on Hoffman's site anymore, so it may not be in print any longer for the moment. So just to let you know. Christmas Village, so cute. Need more hours in the day. These are the original cardstock printing. Look at Santa with the cookies and the mug. He likes his coffee too. Good Saint Nick, also the original cardstock. So that's some of the stuff that I've got in my shop right now. And that is what I've been up to. When will I be back? I don't know. Possibly before Christmas or closer to the new year. It kind of depends on how the next few weeks go and how busy I am. I will try to not be gone so long, but probably about a month is generally what I can manage at the moment. I miss you guys. I miss doing the videos. It's funny. It's like, I'll be like, I want to do a video, but I don't have anything to show. But I have time to make a video. But I don't have anything to talk about. And then when I have stuff to show, I don't have time to make a video. And this happens like repeatedly. So it's just one of those things. It's weird how timing works. But I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. On the off chance that I don't see you before Christmas, I hope that you have a wonderful Christmas. But I will do my best to get back here one more time before Christmas. I will try to I will craft and finish and whatever like crazy on Saturdays so I can have something to talk about. But I hope you're all well, and I appreciate hearing from you. Thank you for all of you who take the time to watch and for all the kind comments that you leave. I really enjoy this community, and I am so thankful to be a part of it. So until next time, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Hopefully I'll get to say those again before they actually happen. And take care. Bye-bye. I thought I'd give you a little tour of my hutch since it's all decked out for Christmas. This is Happy Christmas from Prairie Schooler, which I stitched last year and fully finished just recently. Like to collect figurines. And this nativity used to belong to my mom. It's an UNESCO brand of figurines, and I always loved it. As a child, I got to put it out at Christmas time. So my mom asked me one year if I wanted to inherit, you know, some of her figurines, and this is one of the ones that I mentioned, so she let me have it, and I really enjoy it. You can see this little tiny mouse lives in a sewing machine. And there's Holly Jolly. I've got more tiny mice. The tiny mice I've been collecting. I love them. This is Dead Lobster Santa from Helen. I don't remember which year he is. So this is more of the tiny mice. They're from UNESCO, the Heart of Christmas line. You can see that the staffs that the mice are holding are sewing needles. And the little sheep with the shepherd is actually a pin cushion. He's got like a couple pins sticking out of him. So I think that's really a fun collection. And then the creche is some books. I got the bottle brush tree at Target this year. This lights up, but I don't have it lit up. So just use your imagination. Another one of the UNESCO mice. And this is a Cardinal's Carol. The Santa snow globe was new at Michael's. I'm not a huge fan of the musical part of him. I don't think it's too great, but he's very cute. And these are also some UNESCO owls. I like my retro Christmas figurines, my vintage Christmas figurines. This, I don't remember what year Santa this is, but my friend Leslie, there we go. My friend Leslie stitched this for me several years ago. And all these little figurines are ones that I was given as a kid by my mom. It's another UNESCO figurine on the top. And this Santa is another one of the things that my mom asked me if there was anything I wanted to inherit soon, and I told her this was one of the things. So she tricked me, and when I went home for Christmas, she had this on display, so I knew I wasn't getting it, but she actually went on eBay and got this one for me so that I could have one and she could keep hers. Cardinal Noel. More of the mice, so here you go. Here's a lot of my mice. So these two guys have safety pins. This one's got a button for a shield and a needle. Not all of them are necessarily sewing themed. But then the spools are also from UNESCO. Here's a mouse on a zipper sled. And then here are two of my favorites. They're both knitting. Who doesn't want to have mice that knit? Up here are the wee winter woolens that I knitted. So I moved them over here. They were on my window last year. And then up top, I've got some snowmen and some houses that I picked up. The houses are from Pier 1. And from Target. So a little trick, I don't know if you can see this, there's actually styrofoam there on top of my hutch. The top of my hutch is not flat, it's indented. So the only way I could put decorations across the top was to layer pieces of styrofoam So I bought sheets of styrofoam actually from, I think Lowe's, and cut them so that they're the right size to fit the top of my hutch. That's it. I hope you enjoyed the tour.